He's getting older.
Champagne room.
Oh, hit the full button.
But not wiser.
Everybody has affinity for cock.
This is the Lefty Show.
Welcome, everybody, to the Lefty Show, episode number, let's see, which one are we on now? I did not check at the proper time. Episode 18, I want to say, as I go to confirm it right now. This is the peak of professionalism right here. Totally professional, kiddies. Lefty Show number 18. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, one and all. I thank you all for joining me. Lefty here, your host. I hope to put on a good show for you today. Today is Wednesday, the 21st of May, in the year of our Spaghetti Monster 2014. Welcome, one and all. Thank you to everybody that's been watching on YouTube, liking, favoriting, and subscribing and sharing the show with your friends and family and coworkers. I greatly appreciate it, and I thank you for continuing to do that. That's how the show grows, and it indeed has been maintaining an audience as we've gone on here. 18 episodes in already. It's been, so let's see, we're in our third week now of the Lefty Show. And we're just, arrow keep pointing up. And so I thank you to everybody that's been liking and favoriting, like I said, and sharing with your friends and family, helping to get the show to grow. It'll be a lot easier to share when I get the show finally on iTunes. I'm zeroing in on a plan to make that happen. We'll get this sort of a revolving door thing going with That's Not Why You Called and the Lefty Show on Podbean. And that's something that'll probably be the best if I have like the next tier up on Podbean. It's like 1.5 gigs per month, and I can have 2 separate RSS feeds. I think 3 actually, but I'll only use 2. And then what I can do is I'll use that 1.5 gigs to just rotate Lefty Show episodes, in and out of hosting. And so they won't not all the episodes will always be on iTunes as of right now, but That's Not Why You Call to be on iTunes and hosted forevermore, because it's only, 4 episodes a month or thereabouts. And the Lefty Show will be like a filler, like whatever space is left over That's Not Why You Call doesn't use in my 1.5 gig allotment a month. Whatever isn't used will be like a carousel of Lefty Show episodes. So who knows how long it'll be? I don't know how long any given episode will be up. I want to call it, I don't know, month. Your average month has got 30 days. Let's say the average episode is they'll probably be rolling 15 deep, or no, probably 10 deep, or yeah, probably 10 episodes deep is what you'll get on iTunes, which is good, and without paying the $150 a month for enough hosting to get it all up there and stored forever and ever. And, if Chiz actually linked me to something where I could rent or buy, I guess, my own server and host it there. And he was like, I'm like, well, how do I create an RSS feed? And he's like, here's this Google link on how to create an RSS feed. And it's like, you've got to have some file type or something. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So, hosting the Lefty Show on my own, not in the cards right now, but, we get some sponsors in the door. We get, listenership all over the place. We, put out a full court press, viewers on YouTube and iTunes and stuff, and Podbean. And there can be some good things like that in the cards for us in the future. But as for right now, when we get it up on iTunes, that's probably the plan. That's what I've kind of been circling in my mind. And if you want to help out with hosting costs, just general expenses for the studio and myself, you want to donate, I would greatly appreciate it. And thank you to everybody that's been doing it. You can go to imraising.com/643 productions. That's imraising.com/643 productions. Any donation is greatly appreciated. Thank you to everybody that's been donating. I thank you very much for helping out the show. And I thank you for everybody that's right now going to go click on imraising.com/643 productions and help out the show in that way. Thank you all very much. Now, got a lot to get to today in the show. A lot of things I've been, just generally having in my mind. I'm like, I want to get to this, to that. This will flow to that, but I don't have an outline for the show. I don't have, something where I got to hit this, and at the 2-minute mark or at the 20-minute mark, I go to this, and at the 35-minute mark, I go to that. That's not what I have in at all. It's generally just a very, very rough outline, and then I go on from there. But I got this tweet from somebody, and I want to cover this before I get into anything. This may sound a little bit caustic, but since when have I given a fuck about that? I'm just going to say it, and I'm not necessarily talking to you. If you're offended by this, I'm sorry, but you're probably one of the jackasses this is meant for, okay? I don't give a fuck why you're boycotting PKA, or That's Not Why You Called, or The Lefty Show. I do not give a fuck. I don't give a fuck why you are boycotting PKA specifically. I don't give a fuck that you miss Wings of Redemption and you're not going to watch a show. I do not care. I in fact could not care less about you or what you have to say if that's what you have to say. If all you have to say is, I miss Wings of Redemption and I'm not watching the show anymore, fuck you, I don't care. I just don't care. I don't care. Grow up and move on. Bands break up. Comedy troupes break up. Humans, adult humans, come together and break apart every single day. Every single relationship you will have in your life will begin and it will end. It will begin with your birth at the onset and will end with somebody else's death or even your death. And those are the ultimates. And those are the extreme ends. And in the between, you'll meet friends in grade school, then you'll go to different high schools and you'll stop being friends. You'll meet friends in high school and you'll go to different colleges and you'll stop being friends. You'll meet friends in college. You'll go get different jobs and stop talking to each other. You'll meet coworkers, stop talking to them. You'll meet girlfriends. You'll meet boyfriends. You'll have girlfriends, boyfriends, fiancés. You'll probably have wives and husbands. Given the statistics of our society, you will probably have multiple wives or husbands. You will begin a relationship, and that relationship with them will end. It happens everywhere. Grow the fuck up about it. Drop it. If you are more than a month in to Wings of Redemption no longer being on the cast of PKA, and you are still upset about it, you've got some fucking issues. You've got something wrong with you where you can't let go of things. And you can't just, you keep looking, you live life looking in the rearview mirror. It was 4 months ago. This is the new hotness. That was old and busted. This is the new hotness. Now, you're free to not like the new hotness, and that's totally fine and understandable. But you're not free to continue to look back at the old and busted and go to the new hotness and be like, why aren't you old and busted? Stop living in the past. It was more than a month ago. This is what grown adults do sometimes. Does it suck? Yeah, Wings of Redemption is my friend, and he has helped me out in my business, and he's been somebody to talk to, and I've tried to help him, and I feel a connection with Wings of Redemption that I do not feel or have with most other people. And that's not a penis joke either. Wings is my friend. However, professionally, quote professionally, I'm using it in the loose sense, not in the I have an ethics board and governing guidelines, et cetera, et cetera. But in the business sense, that just won't work anymore. We've all accepted it. Wings has accepted it. It's time for everybody else to start accepting it. And if I have to come out and say, I don't give a fuck if you watch or don't watch PKA because of Wings' absence, then so be it. I don't care. I don't. I really don't. My job is to put on a show. My job is not to listen to you bitch and moan about something that happened more than a month ago, and clearly everybody involved, everybody actually involved, has moved on from it and accepted it. and has started the rebuilding process and moving on and looking in different directions for things to do. Everybody else has accepted it, but some people out there, move on. Stop living in the rearview mirror. It's like the guys that peaked in high school. If you've gone to high school, or are in high school now, keep an eye out. You'll see people like this. You will see people who are clearly living their glory days right now. They are at the peak of whatever they will be for the next 20, 25 years. And they will be the person who will wear the high school jacket on their college campus. They will bring it with them. They will regale you with stories about high school, about how they were the tops in high school. And that's all they have. That's all they've got. They live life in the rearview mirror. And they keep trying to draw from something that's going farther and farther away from them. It's getting smaller and smaller and smaller in that mirror. And they refuse to move on. Move on from something that happened more than a month ago. Move on from a decision made and an agreement reached by 4 grown-ass men. Accept it and just move on. If you enjoy one piece of entertaining content from the separated part and not the remaining whole, totally fine. Go do that. Go enjoy that content. But bitching and moaning about trying to get that back together isn't going to do anything. We're grown-ass men, and we made the decision, and we've all come to terms with it. It is time for people to move on and just accept. And I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I'm not going to watch PKA I'm waiting on. Okay. Fine by me, bro. Shut up about it. How about you get busy not watching it and also get busy shutting the fuck up about it because I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Just don't care. No cares. I'm looking all over the place right now. I'm looking all throughout the studio. I'm lifting papers. I got stuff. I find no cares to give you about something that happened more than a month ago. No, nothing to say. Move on and grow up. Speaking of moving on, there's something on Reddit I saw. Normally, this isn't really newsworthy, but moving on in the sense of if you're driving down the roadway and you've ever wondered, hey, you know what? What if this roadway was built entirely of solar panels? Would that be good for society? Would that be good for the public grid? Would we be more energy efficient? Would we be less reliant on fossil fuels? Could just move on to things that are powered strictly by electricity and we've got this grid? Wouldn't that be great? Have you ever wondered if there would be such a world? Well, there is. Engineering couple led by Scott Brusaw. I forget his wife's name, but she's probably an equal part of this engineering feat. They've developed a technology by which they can embed solar panels into roadways, into sidewalks, into parking lots, all those kinds of things. Wherever there is pavement, blacktops on basketball courts, on tennis courts, on parking lots, roadways, sidewalks, access roads, all those things, highways. Wherever there is pavement, they have said that they've come up with this technology, hexagonal, pretty thick solar panels that have a thick glass overlaying them, and they've got all kinds of cool technologies. They've got LED lights in them. They've got heating cores so that the surface of the glass or whatever the material is on the top of the panels will always be above freezing temperature, so that there's no chance or very, very, very little chance of ice and snow being able to accumulate on the roadways or on these paths, whatever have these solar panels on them. And they've also got pressure sensitive so that they can tell you what they're generally doing is creating a roadway of Titantrons or Jumbotrons. Titantrons was just a bullshit thing made up by Vince McMahon. But what they've created, it's a roadway that is essentially a big LED panel that is also solar powered. So, your car, think about your car on an empty road at noon, right? Your car is casting a shadow directly over the outline of your car. But the rest of the road is baking up the sun. And so if the rest of the road, or indeed all the road, were made up of these hexagonal solar panels, that road would be generating electricity. And you'd be able to store it or put it back into the power grid and all these things. And it's a really common sense idea. We've got this pavement all over the place, all over the world. We've got pavement, we've got asphalt, concrete, whatever. And it's just sitting there. It's just sitting there not doing anything. Its only use is passive. It sits passively waiting for you to drive by so that it can support your car and provide traction and all this stuff. And miles and square miles of area all over the place. And if that were solar panels, they would be generating a lot of electricity. It's a brilliant idea. And okay, and the technology behind being able to create a panel that can be used as effectively in this context, being able to support a car on a roadway or a highway or a whatever, while it's really cool and it's amazing, but there's a YouTube video, well produced, of course, that's getting a lot of play right now. It's got 263,000 views and was uploaded on the 18th. And again, nearing the front page of Reddit, or was on the front page of Reddit overnight. And a lot of people are, oh my God, why are we not funding this? Where is it? Let's get this technology now. Let's do it. Because as the video says, it's clean energy. It's going to create jobs and it'll pay for itself. Oh my God, that's the magic trifecta. Clean energy, it pays for itself, and it creates jobs. Oh my God. We need to do this now. And emergency session of Congress, emergency appropriation of funds, this needs to happen right now, is the general idea by many people, held by many people. Oh my God, this incredible technology. This needs to be funded, better research, mass-produced, and implemented immediately for the betterment of society. Because, again, it hits the trifecta. It hits it. Clean energy, creates jobs, and it, what was the third? And it pays for itself. It's an investment. It's an investment. It will pay for itself, and it's thus cheap. Paying for yourself is cheap, I guess. And this is the greatest thing ever. We need to do this. Let's do it now. And I watched the video, and again, really cool technology and a common sense idea. Holy shit, yeah, that's great. That's a fantastic idea. Now, I did a little bit more research, and one of the questions I initially had is I said, well, do we really want to be putting it in roadways immediately? I mean, shouldn't we go through like kind of a beta phase where, I don't know, sidewalks or parking lots or parks with basketball courts? Hey, imagine if every public basketball court in a state, how about that? Go to a state in the Union in the United States and you say, look, you've got all these parks. You got X number of basketball courts, okay? And they're all blacktop. What if we went in, it's federally funded, you just have to sign off and give us the rights away. We go in and we make these basketball courts, instead of blacktops, we make them, sip of coffee, sorry. Instead of blacktops, instead of hardtop, we make them these solar panels, and we connect them to your local grid, or if they're by a municipal building, we can power that with these solar panels, and let's just see how it works. Or sidewalks in a local municipality. Why not have a beta phase? And in their frequently asked questions section of the actual website of these two engineers, that is something they said, yeah, that's part of the plan. I mean, the goal is the roadways, but part of the plan is we go to a beta phase on, roadways and parking lots. Okay, so it's not just starry-eyed liberals. Clean energy, let's fucking do it. Let's go right now. Okay, so there's a plan here. These people have a brain. But, I have a problem with clean. I do. I have a problem with the notion of clean energy because, well, I don't mean to sound conceited, but I took a high school physics class. And there's no such thing. Clean implies free. Clean implies, even though it doesn't say it explicitly, but it implies that, you're getting something for nothing here. There's no negative impact, no downside to this. Nothing had to be destroyed. Nothing bad or even neutral. Nothing else was created to create your energy. And I know for a fact that that's bullshit. I know for a fact because I've studied this at high school and a little bit at the college level. That is bullshit. It's just fucking bullshit. Clean energy is a bullshit buzz term. No such thing as clean energy. Now, and spare me it's a relative argument. Fuck that. They don't say it's relative. Relative to other, never is clean energy used in the context, well, relative to other energies, it's pretty clean. No, it stands on its own. It's clean energy, and that's bullshit. So when you're plugging in your smart car to the grid, and you or whatever it is that runs on electricity, I don't even know if smart cars run on electricity. I think we do. When you're plugging in your Tesla, you spend 80 G's on a Tesla, and you're plugging it in, and you think, oh, look at me, I'm saving the environment. What do you think created that electricity, motherfucker? What do you think did? Did it just come from the sky? Does it just come from the hole in the wall? Holes! I need holes! Does it just come from that? No. Something had to create that electrical energy. And what's more, because of the inefficiencies, the massive inefficiencies in our power grid, we have to spend so much energy, sometimes even double or 100%, the energy you take out just as much, including, imagine you want to ship a barrel of oil, okay? You want to ship it from A to B. Doesn't matter how long A to B is. But if the route is, and for some reason you're driving an oil-fired truck, okay? All right? Okay, I know. But you want to drive it from A to B, okay? And once it goes from A to B, that oil will be turned into energy. Imagine that to get from A to B, you have to spend a barrel of oil to get that barrel of oil from A to B so that you can create energy. That is, in some areas, and to lesser percentages, but still significant. That is what's happening in some cases in our electrical power grid, where in order to fill up your Tesla with electrical power, we need to put 2 Teslas worth of electrical power into the grid. At point A, again, point A is the creation of the electrical energy, and it's put into the grid. From point A to point B, which is your Tesla. From point A to point B, at point A, we need to put in 2 Teslas worth of energy to get you 1 Tesla worth of energy. Or we need to put in we need to put in 30% more. We need to put in 1.3 Teslas in order to get you your 1 Tesla. We need to put in 1.2, 1.4, whatever. Is that exactly clean? Oh, and never mind the fact that your Tesla or your whatever you're plugging in to charge that you think is clean, never mind the fact that it is consuming way more energy than you think just to charge itself. What do you think creates that electrical power? Does it just come from does it come from the sky? No. Something has to be burned. Something has to be destroyed, or whatever the fuck makes nuclear reactors work. Steam needs to be heated up to drive a turbine, or, irradiated water needs to be turned into irradiated steam, which goes into a heat exchanger, which heats up non-irradiated water into steam, which drives a turbine, and then goes into a secondary or even tertiary turbine, and bam, you've got electrical power. There are things creating that energy that aren't clean. Burning coal is not clean. It's just not. I don't care about clean burning coal. Clean burning coal. No such fucking thing. You're still burning coal. You're more efficient at it, sure. Yeah, you're more efficient at it. But how efficient, like what is the carbon footprint of a coal-fired electrical plant sending 2 Teslas worth of energy to fill up 1 Tesla versus the carbon footprint of the equivalent amount of gasoline? It's not nearly as much. The disparity probably isn't as much as you think it is. And if we're on an electrical grid that is primarily powered by nuclear power, which is the most efficient form of electrical generation that we have, if we've got that, okay. So we don't really, I mean, it's all contained in the reactor. We're not creating really anything except steam and heat dissipation. Okay. Well, what happens in 20, 25 years? You've got spent fuel rods that you need to do something with. You need to either bury them, shoot them at the moon or the sun, or put them into a breeder reactor to turn them back into fuel, but then you also get weapons-grade plutonium. Uh-oh. There are a whole bunch of downsides. The point is this. There are a whole bunch of downsides to clean energy. Clean energy isn't really clean. You're burning coal to fill up your electric car. Now, is the carbon footprint less than that of a gasoline-powered car to get the gasoline from A to B? Yeah, sure, probably. I'll stipulate to that. But is it orders of magnitude of difference? Like some would have you to believe? Like calling it clean energy would have you believe? No. It's not an order of magnitude difference. In fact, in some cases, it's probably not a very significant difference. But, it's clean, man. It's clean, it's clean, it's clean. So now here we go to solar roadways, because they're not burning coal. They're not relying on nuclear fuel. Okay, all right. You ever heard of cadmium? You know how toxic cadmium is? Cadmium is one of the primary metals used in solar panels. Whole bunch of other stuff. Arsenic. Whole bunch of other bad chemicals. I got a list here. Arsenic, cadmium telluride, hexafluoroethane, lead, and polyvinyl fluoride. Those don't sound... I'm not a chemist. I know cadmium is bad. Well, arsenic speaks for itself. Hexafluoroethane and lead. I know lead is bad, too. There was a Cosmos about that. I don't know about hexafluoroethane or polyvinyl fluoride. They put that in the drinking water, right? To keep us at bay, right? Isn't that bad? Anyway, those sound like bad things outside of the things that I know are bad. Arsenic, cadmium, and lead. Arsenic, cadmium, and lead. Now, think about this, okay? Ultra green liberals who spend $10,000 a panel to put their shit on their roof and fuck with the electrical grid so that they can tell their friends with so much smarm, well, my house is powered by solar panels. And they leave the panels up there for 10 or 15 years or 20 years like shingles. That's not really a big deal. Okay? I mean, yeah, there's cadmium, arsenic, lead, all these bad things in solar panels, but the solar panels are in use for 15, 20, 25 years. There's not a lot of use on them. There's not a lot of strain on these solar panels, so they can have an extended life. And when they do need to be disposed of, and then you do have to worry about all the bad chemicals in them, because again, just in general use, the cadmium in the solar panel isn't going to hurt you. The cadmium is going to hurt you when you make the solar panels and when you have to destroy the solar panels after they've been used extensively. So, on top of some libtard's house, not getting a lot of strain. They're going to be up there for a while. It's not a big deal, especially because there's not many people doing it. So, okay, our infrastructure, our waste disposal system can handle all these toxic materials at this level. But when you start putting them on every sidewalk, every parking lot, and every roadway in the United States of America, if you use toxic-based solar panels, now there's non-toxic stuff, and we'll get to that in a bit. If you use non-toxic or if you use toxic-based solar panels, you're going to have a tremendous influx of panels eventually, again, for maybe 5-10 years. And then in 10 years, there's going to be a huge influx of solar panels with toxic materials that need to be disposed of. Way more than now. And then at that 10-year period, that's going to start a cycle where every 5 years or so, there's going to be a tremendous amount of hexagonal modular solar panels that need to be disposed of. They were ripped out of the road, ripped out of the sidewalk, ripped out of the parking lot, and they need to be disposed of, no longer effective or broken. And we got new ones in there, but these need to be disposed of, and they've got all these bad materials in them. Are we prepared for that? Are our waste disposal, our toxic waste disposal facilities, our infrastructure, and even our capabilities, are we prepared for that? Where's it all going to go? First of all, where's it going to come from? And second of all, where's it all going to go? Not in my backyard. I guarantee you that the hemp-wearing motherfuckers that are all in for, yeah, no more big oil, clean energy, man, solar panels. In 10 years, those are the same assholes who are going to be, what are you doing? You're not burying cadmium, man. You can't bury cadmium. Oh, my God, man. Like, what are you doing, bro? Well, you're the same motherfucker who wanted this shit everywhere 10 years ago. Now we've got to dispose of it. We can't just not dispose of it. We got to put it somewhere. Where's it going to go? And I did a little research, and these people, even the proprietors of this technology, when asked about, hey, what about the toxic shit in solar panels? They even said, well, we don't know what we're going to use. We have no idea. We don't know enough about the disposal processes and the capabilities of humanity to dump all this toxic shit on us. We don't know what we're going to use because we don't understand it. The people who create the technology don't know enough about the disposal of the technology, don't know enough about the downsides of the technology to speak on it. And it's, what? You're here creating videos. You've got the cool voiceover guy that's like, hey, it does the cool things. It pays for itself. And it'll create jobs. And it's clean. Oh, my God. And they're in this video, and I have to take special, I have to make light of this. Their only reference to the impact of the solar panels is, don't worry about the ecological impact, the environmental impact of all these solar panels, because these solar panels will use as much, okay, here's a quote. This is a direct quote. It stuck with me when I watched it. They will use as much recycled material as possible. Okay? That was the video's preemptive strike to, hey, you know what? You're using a lot of toxic shit in all these solar panels, and they're fucking everywhere. How are we going to dispose of them? What's the plan for that? The response, the preemptive strike to that is, don't worry. They use as much recycled material as possible. What? Are you kidding me? That's your answer? Well, you use recycled material. There's fucking toxic shit in every single solar panel, and you want to put it everywhere in the United States, on every fucking roadway. 54,000 square miles. 54,000 square miles is but 1/3 of the total area of all the roadways in the United States. You want 54,000 square miles of shit filled with toxic material, and your only response to, hey, you know what, that might be a bad idea, is, don't worry, it's recycled material. Okay? Nobody stops to think about this kind of shit. At least nobody that's actually in front of the material. Nobody can stand up and say, look, I know this is a question you may have, and here's my answer to it. Because the popular video promoting the technology, recycled materials, and the fucking creators of the technology say, we don't know. We don't know. There's nobody out there saying, yes, this is a question. This is a very valid question, very valid point. And here's our response to it. Here's our plan of action for doing it. Or here's our argument as to why that's not as bad as you might think. Here is why it is not as bad as the status quo. That's all I want, but there's nowhere. That's fucking nowhere. Nowhere to be seen. It's the same thing with all these people. Well, just build those huge wind farms. Just build them everywhere, but not in my backyard. Not near me, but build them everywhere else. Yeah. Oh man, nuclear grid would be amazing. That would be awesome because it's incredibly efficient and you got fuel for generations. That's amazing, right? Right. Well, we should build that, but not in my backyard. But these people that want wind farms, they say, okay, well, you want to create enough energy to power the United States of America, to end our dependence on coal-fired plants and foreign oil and all this stuff. Okay, admirable, of course. If we put wind farms everywhere and they're 20 stories tall or however tall they are, they're big motherfuckers, man. And okay, we put them everywhere. What does that do to weather patterns or migratory birds or insects or anything? What does that do? When you put them in farmlands, because that's where you're going to put them, what are having giant fucking spinning turbines going to do to the insecticides that are sprayed in the air? Is there going to be anything? Is there going to be an impact of any kind on any of those things? I have never heard and actually looked. Maybe I'm just bad at looking. But I have never seen anybody say, yes, I understand your question. Here's my response to it. Here is my prepared response as to why that's not bad, why it's not as bad as you may think. Never found it. It's just, oh my God, it's clean energy, man. It's the wind. Fuck it, right? Yeah. Well, wait a minute. Excuse me. It seems to me that one of the biggest reasons that we are on this precipice that is climate change. One of the reasons that we are in this tenuous position is because generations ago, a century ago, we didn't stop to think about the impacts of burning this black crud that we found under the soil. We didn't stop to think, what are we actually doing here? What is this actually doing? Or probably on the order of lead poisoning and leaded gasoline. Somebody did ask that question, but a gigantic corporation with a lot of money stifled it or hired a charlatan scientist to counter their claims. But as a society, as a whole, we didn't stop to think, and we didn't stop the bad things that we were doing from the very beginning, and we didn't properly research it, and we didn't know what we were getting ourselves into, and we did it anyway, and by now it's too late to undo it all. Okay, let's not make that same fucking mistake with solar or with wind farms or with tidal wave. There's some apparatus or apparati that can generate electricity from tidal, the tides changing and just general waves, and or solar panels all over fucking America in our roadways, sidewalks, and parking lots and whatever. Let's not make that same mistake again, because when you just wholeheartedly jump in with gusto and zeal and a glimmer in your eye, when you jump in and say, fuck it, let's fucking do it because clean energy, and you don't have an answer to, hey, what are you going to do? A lot of these things require cadmium, and they require a lot of toxic shit. What are your plans to deal with all that? And when you say, fuck it, no, we don't have time to answer those questions, we'll deal with it later, you're doing the same exact thing that was done with oil a century ago. The same exact thing. You're jumping in with both feet, but not stopping to consider the consequences of your widespread actions. Let's not do that again. I want to know why solar panels everywhere, what are you going to do about their disposal of all the toxic materials that are in them? What are you going to do about them? What are you going to do about the toxic materials needed to create them? What about worker safety? You're creating all these things. You're going to have to ramp up production, you're going to have to redline production on all these solar materials. That means you're going to have to hire a lot of unskilled workers or people that are unskilled in that. Are you going to properly train them in the safety and the use of all these chemicals? Are you? Really? seems like there might be a lot of worker death and sickness because untrained workers don't have the safety standards that other people do. And we got to turn them out. We got to turn them out because clean energy, man, clean energy's got to go. Now, I know some people are going to say, I've spent a long time on this topic. Don't care. It's an interesting topic. Some people are going to say, well, you can use non-toxic materials, and there's graphene, new technologies coming online, graphene and silicone and all this stuff that's non-toxic and can be used in in solar panels. Okay, here's my thing, and here's my little theory on that, and it applies to many things in life, health, food, all that stuff, is that when you're talking about accomplishing something, okay, and here we're talking specifically about generating clean, quote, clean energy, or generating energy, you've got a triangle, okay, 3 bullet points in a triangle. One is it's cheap. The material, your goal, achieving your goal is going to be cheap. That's one. Another one is effective. Whatever you use to achieve your goal will be effective at what you want to do, electricity generation. And the third point is safe, meaning safe materials, safe for the environment, safe disposal, all that. You get to pick 2 of them. That's it. You don't get to pick 3, because picking 3, well, first of all, it would negate one of them. If you pick 3, it's going to be really expensive, but being really expensive would negate being cheap. So you can have cheap, you can have 2 of cheap, effective, and safe. That's it. And if you choose effective and safe, you're going to pay out your nose. If you go with cheap and safe, it's not going to be effective. If you go with cheap and effective, it's not going to be safe because there's going to be cadmium and everything in it. It's the same thing with health eating. Okay? You can go with, you have cheap, you have taste good, and you have good for you. You pick 2. That's all you get. You can go cheap and it tastes good. It's not going to be that healthy for you. You can go it tastes nice and it's good for you. You're going to pay out the nose for it. You can go with cheap and it's good for you. It's not going to taste very nice. You get to pick 2. So you want to go silicone, okay, it's not going to be very effective. And maybe that's the argument. Okay, it's safer, but on the volume, etc., it'll work. All right. Here is just on first blush, my not middle ground, but my compromise. Okay? Here's what you do. You get the government involved. And you say, all right, here's what you're going to do. Every business, every private business that owns a parking lot is going to have available to them a program through which they can get federal and state tax credit if they put these hexagonal solar panels in their parking lot. If they put them there, they will get some kind of tax credit. If they foot the bill, and there will be money available to help with upfront, costs of tearing up the pavement and putting down all these solar panels. Okay, but there will be a little bit of money there. But if a business says, in our parking lot we are going to put these solar panels, they will get to deduct the costs from their tax bill. They will aggregate tax bill. If you pay $50,000 to put in, a couple hexagons of solar panels in your parking lot, you get to deduct that from your tax bill. And that's going to be the way it's done. Or your taxable income, probably, because, deducting straight away 50 G's from your tax bill might not be the best idea. But you get to deduct that some way. You get a tax break for subsidizing the use of this in parking lots. And that's it. Make it parking lots. And if municipalities want to put it in sidewalks, okay. But tearing up all the roadways in America to put this shit in there, probably not going to work. And it's just, have a little, think forward. Clean energy is not clean. Let's talk about the not clean parts of supposed clean energy, and let's not make the same mistake, the exact same mistake that we did with fossil fuels. Just jumping in because fuck it, it's cheap, it's everywhere, and we can make energy from it. Fuck that. No. We're going to have a discussion that we did not have at the beginning of the fossil fuel era. era. We are going to have the discussion of, listen, you hemp-wearing, floppy, flip-flop wearing motherfuckers, your clean energy isn't very clean. Now let's talk about it. That doesn't mean we're not going to do it. Let's talk about it and make sure that we don't make some stupid mistakes. Let's do a little news late in the show. Man, getting late. You know what? I got off on a tangent there, covered a bunch of topics. It's good. It's good to do this once in a while. I feel, this house is clear. I've exorcised the demons. All right, now we get into a little news. The U.S., we're talking a little bit about video of officers killing some people. The U.S. national security is set to reveal justification for drone strikes against American citizens. And the teacher, the kindergarten teacher who grabbed a kindergartner by their neck is getting a suspension handed down. We'll talk about all that in the news with Lefty. So this story's been ongoing for a while. There's video of a kindergarten teacher choking and lifting by the head and neck a kindergartner outside of their classroom. Apparently, the kindergartner went to the bathroom. The teacher was waiting when the 6-year-old boy came out of the bathroom, and there was some kind of altercation, and it ended with the teacher grabbing the child by the neck and lifting him up. Now, when it was reported, I originally thought it was like a superhero move. Like, I wish I was that strong. I don't even think you could possibly be that strong, but where you can lift somebody by their neck, where you grab another human by their neck and just with one arm just raise them up over your head, and they're looking down at you and you're looking back up at them. You can do it if you're a grown-ass man. You can do it with a small child. You can choke slam a small child without having them have to help you out with the spot. You can actually grab probably a small child and just grab them around the neck or by the shirt if you don't want to hurt them. And if you grab them by the shirt, and you can just lift them up. They don't have to help you. They don't have to assist. But, grown-ass man doing it to a grown-ass man, not going to happen. So there was this teacher, she was some fat old lady, probably in her 40s or 50s. Grabbed this child, caught on video. The parents were outraged. The child was interviewed, and he was crying, et cetera, et cetera. And this teacher was only handed down a 10-day suspension, and everybody is outraged. And, by the way, the 10-day suspension took them to the end of the school year. So now the teacher gets their mandated 3-month vacation or 3-month vacation, and then they can come back and revisit the issue. If they're going to revisit it at all. But everybody's all upset about this. The internet is awash of people saying this is an unacceptable punishment for this teacher using corporal punishment. And even in the CNN coverage, the female anchor said, parents would agree. There's one simple rule: keep your hands off my child, et cetera, et cetera. And while the initial evidence is damning, because it's hard to explain being a grown-ass human being why you are wringing the neck of a child. It's hard to explain. That doesn't mean there's not an explanation for strangling a child or choking a child. That doesn't mean there's not an explanation, not a valid explanation, but it's hard to explain in a way. Like, no, really, listen to me. If you're caught on tape or video or somebody sees you with your hand around a child's neck, you are immediately assumed guilty. Immediately. It's just, it's like the 6 guys everybody's reporting now, a paramedic, a police officer, and a Boy Scout troop, and one other woman arrested on child porn charges in New York. A whole ring of child porn. It doesn't matter. It matters not what happens to those people 6 months down the line in their court case. It does not matter if the paramedic was just kind of knew a guy who had no idea that this guy had child porn on his computer. Then they were just hanging out, and the paramedic got arrested when the warrant was served. It doesn't matter anymore because that paramedic is now is just a child pornographer in the eyes of everybody because you were arrested for child porn. Well, fuck, you must have done something wrong, right? And similarly, if you're caught with your hands around a child's neck, especially on video, especially as a teacher, you can't. What are you going to say? There's nothing you can say. You can't say, no, oh my God. Well, perhaps this old lady can't say it, but I can. What if this child was a real asshole? What if this child was just a fucking prick? Just the weaseliest little bastard you can imagine. And this teacher, near the end of the school year, with this 6-year-old little fuckwad, had enough. I am sick of this child's bullshit. This child's parents clearly are not going to instill any kind of values with respect to respect for authority or respecting a position, respecting educators, whatever. They're not going to do it. This child has been just berating me. This child has been degrading me this entire year, and I fucking had it. And so she wrings his neck. She says, listen, you little fucking cocksucker. There's an explanation. There is an explanation for why that child had his throat grabbed by a teacher. And that explanation is the parents are bastards and the child is a bastard. And if that, and I don't know that to be the case, but if it was the case, I would have no problem excusing that teacher fully. No. You're not punishing this woman for having to deal with this little shit for an entire year, and she just had enough. Because too many parents in society today refuse to parent their child, refuse to engage in any actual parenting, and then expect others to deal with their child. They expect others to, 1, parent their child, and 2, deal with their child's bullshit. Oh, my son has a peanut allergy, so you better ban peanuts from the entire fucking school. What? And I know it's a hot button issue, but now that it's not that it's no longer in the DSM-5, autism, or more specifically, Asperger's syndrome. Being on the internet, it seemed to me that Asperger's syndrome, which is a mild form of autism on the autism spectrum, or it's mild-ish. I mean, it is autism, or it was for a while, but no longer is it going to be differentiated from just autism. It's just going to be on the spectrum. But autism is, generally speaking, a mild, or Asperger's syndrome, generally speaking, a milder form of autism. And one of the things that is one of the symptoms of Asperger's syndrome is not being able to understand social cues or social norms, and just for lack of a better understanding, being a prick in social settings because you don't understand social cues. It's not that you're just an asshole necessarily. It's just that people with Asperger's syndrome just don't understand those kinds of things. They don't understand social niceties. They're not bogged. In some cases, it's liberating because you're not bogged down by some of that bullshit. And there is a lot of societal bullshit, which might be kind of nice. But at the same time, to the outside world, you may come off as just a prick. And I felt that, and it's not the kid with, or the person with Asperger's syndrome's fault. It's not their fault. They can't help it. They don't get social cues. I understand that. And I don't disagree. I'm not saying, oh, it's a bullshit disease, it doesn't exist. No. It does, and it's probably not very fun to have. I'm sure if they had, the benefit of omnipotence or omniscience, that somebody with Asperger's syndrome would say, oh man, I can stop this? Oh, dude, I'm totally down. But they don't. They can't help it, okay? But my problem is more the parents. Parents would unleash their child with Asperger's into social situations, and then when people would come back to the parents and say, hey, your child's a fucking prick, they would say, he's got Asperger's syndrome. Leave him alone. What are you doing? And my argument is, if you know that your child is going to be an asshole to other people, because it's not the job of other people to understand and acquiesce to your child's medical conditions. It's not their fucking responsibility. It's yours. If you know your child is going to be an asshole to the outside world, the outside world is going to perceive him as an asshole, or her as an asshole because of this syndrome, it's your job to keep them on a fucking leash. It's your job to do that. And when somebody comes to you and says, hey, your child was a prick to my kid, what's that all about? You should not be, leave him alone, he's got Asperger's, That you should be nothing but apologetic and say, I'm sorry, I really am. Here's Asperger's. Here's what it is. And then flip it around. And then if the other person is still, well, then they're a fucking asshole. Because you say, oh, okay, well, could you probably then do a little bit more to make sure that your child doesn't impact my child or me? But I saw a lot of, in the what is called the heyday of Asperger's, what I saw a lot of was a lot of people sloughing off their responsibilities as a parent of somebody with autism and Asperger's, and making it the responsibility of others. No, you have to adapt to my child, not perhaps I shouldn't expose my child to these situations because he will negatively impact all these other innocent people. But it was a lot of, no, it's my child and do what he wants because you got Asperger's and when it would be as simple as, how about you be a parent? And if you know your child is going to be mean to other people and negatively impact other people, you don't expose them to that situation. You say, no, I'm the parent. It's my responsibility. It's my duty to the outside world to make sure that this doesn't negatively impact other people if I can help it. And this might be a similar case. Yeah, you know, a teacher with their hands around a child in their neck in a very violent fashion. Initially, you jump to the worst possible things. You know, this guy's assaulting this child, and they're just being an asshole. Okay, but what if that child was a fucking prick? It is not above parents in our society to unleash their dickish children on other people and then expect those other people to deal with it. Yeah, my son's an asshole, but my son can be an asshole to you, and you can't do anything about it. Fuck that. No. If your son or daughter is a fucking asshole, I'm going to treat them as a fucking asshole because it's your job as the parent to either make sure they're not a fucking asshole, or if they are and they can't help but be a fucking asshole, then you keep them away. Then you lock them up, keep them on a leash. Don't unleash them on society and then expect society to deal with it. It is not society's job to react to and coddle and raise and parent your child. It's your job. Not society's. Your job. So, now it's entirely possible that this teacher is just an unbelievable cunt. That's totally possible. However, I reserve the right to say I told you so when and if it comes out that this child was just a real son of a bitch. Just the absolute worst you could expect, for as bad as kindergartners could be. I don't know how bad kindergartners were. I barely remember being in kindergarten. Barely remember it. So I don't know. Maybe I was that asshole. Maybe I was. It's entirely possible. I don't remember being throttled by a teacher, but I guarantee you that if I was enough of an asshole to have my teacher grab me by the collar and say, listen, you little shit. No. And I told my father would say, well, you shouldn't have been a fucking asshole. But in today's society, no matter what the child does, you're expected to deal with it. Society is expected to deal with it and coddle the child and say, oh, it's okay. Oh, you have this syndrome. Oh, okay. Well, then it's okay that you're just a prick to everybody you meet. That's okay then. And no, it's not okay. Parent your child, raise your child, and if you need to keep your child on a leash, then keep him on a leash. Just like a dog. If you don't have your dog on a leash and it bites somebody, or kills another dog, or damages somebody's property, you're liable for that. You can't say, oh, well, my dog's just a dog. What do you want? My dog was just being a dog. It's what he does. Yeah, he chews through your expensive fiber optic cables. That's what dogs do. No, keep the dog on a leash. Similarly, if your child needs to be kept on a leash, keep him on a leash because you're liable. Now, to close out the show, the U.S. is set to reveal justification for drone strikes against American citizens. This is from thewashingtonpost.com. That headline alone, U.S. to reveal justification for drone strikes against American citizens. There's no such fucking thing. Does not exist. Does not exist. Unless we were at war, an actual war, not combat operations, not anything like that. No. declaration of war, if we declare war and we say we've declared war against Yemen, against Afghanistan, Iraq, all these things, that is a declaration of war. And if you are an American citizen caught in the battle zone, due process, all this bullshit does not apply because it's fucking war. That's why we have the war powers. That's why such a thing exists. That's why Congress has the power to declare war. But we haven't declared war for a long time. Vietnam was not a war. There was no declaration of war. Since 2001, since September 11th, Iraq, Afghanistan, all these troop deployments, there has been not one declaration of war. So, due process to American citizens, no matter what the fuck you think they're doing, applies. It fucking applies. Because now if you want to make the argument it was in another country, et cetera, you want to pettifog that way, okay. But should not our rules apply everywhere? If democracy, if America, if the American brand on democracy or the American take on a democratic republic and the ideas of individual liberties and all this stuff, and I know what my government is going to do in response to my actions and all this stuff, if that is the model that we want to hold up, and we say, yes, this is the way it works, this is how it should be done, if we want to do that, shouldn't it apply everywhere? Shouldn't, especially to our own citizens, shouldn't it work there? Now, and again, it should apply, yes, it should apply to people, foreign nationals captured in Afghanistan and transported to Guantanamo Bay. They have due process rights. They should, because if it's such a great idea, if it's such a great system we have, it should apply everywhere. It should. Otherwise, then it's just kind of a bullshit system that you kind of work and you know, you look at it, you reflect light or refract light through it in different ways to make it do what you want. But it's not really special. It's just a tool. You've relegated to the status of a tool to do what you want. If we really think that our democratic republic is the best form of governance, and our idea of rule of law and individual liberty is the best way to go about governing a populace and governing a people and governing society, it should apply everywhere. Especially it should apply to an American citizen who is not in a war zone, because you have to declare fucking war to declare a war zone. It does not matter what the guy was doing. Doesn't fucking matter. I do not care if he was personally duct taping dynamite to a 15-year-old who was going to go straight to downtown Manhattan and blow shit up. I don't care. No war, no war zone, due process applies. There is no justification whatsoever to just deprive American citizens of life because you think they might lead something somewhere. No. That shouldn't work. There is no justification. Don't listen to any justification given to you by the White House, Obama, the press secretaries, whatever. There is no justification. None whatsoever. No war zone because there's no war. Due process applies. And that's it. And that's all. If there is any kind of, but maybe if then the other thing, Tux didn't come back from the cleaners, an old friend came from out of town. If there's any of that, then we don't have an ideology. We don't have the best thing that's ever happened to society. We don't have the best form of governance, the best idea of rule of law that's ever happened to humanity. What we have is a tool. Nothing more. Well, certainly nothing more than that. If your right to due process depends simply upon where you are and what the government thinks you do, your right to, first of all, your right to due process, your right to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, it's fucking there. If it all depends on, well, you know, you were in Yemen and you got a brown sounding name and we think you were doing something we didn't like, so we're going to drone strike your ass no trial, no arrest, no nothing, no notice, and no opportunity to be heard, then we've got a tool. We've got nothing more, nothing less than a tool, a simple tool with which to bludgeon that the powerful use, those in power will use to bludgeon those who are not in power. And that's the Lefty Show. Let's bring it home, baby. Woo! Getting salty this episode. I like it. Anyway, that's a wrap on the Lefty Show, episode number 18. Thank you all for joining. I had a great time putting on the show for you. I hope you did enjoy as well. Feel free to show your appreciation for the show. Hit that like button, favorite, subscribe on YouTube. Thank you all for doing that. If you want to help the show grow, you can share the show with your friends, your family, your co-workers. It's a great way to help the show grow, and I greatly appreciate it. And I thank you, everybody, for doing so. You want to help out the show, hosting costs, all that kind of stuff, go to imraising.com/643productions. That's imraising.com/643productions. Thank you to everybody that's hitting that link right now, going to make a generous donation. I greatly appreciate it, and thank you all. I will catch you guys next time. That's my time. I got to get out of here. Thank you for joining. I hope you enjoyed. I'm out. Bye.
He's got AIDS.